Welcome back to the Fresh Squeeze podcast, the podcast where we explore how leaders and innovators are tackling the biggest challenges in health, wellness, and fitness, and finding smarter ways to grow around that. Today, we're joined by Dr. David Neuman, an orthopedic surgeon turned entrepreneur who's leading the way in scalable, tech-driven healthcare solutions. From supplement to digital rehab tools, David's work is all about improving health outcomes without relying solely on surgery or medication. We'll be diving into his journey, his vision for the future, and where he sees the biggest opportunities for innovation. But first, a quick message from our sponsor.
Thanks, Miles. I'm proud to announce that this episode is brought to you by Citrico AI. Citrico are helping private health clinics improve patient engagement, reduce no-shows, and streamline scheduling, allowing teams to spend less time on monotonous admin work that takes you away from what matters most, their patients. To learn more, visit citricoai.com or drop a comment in the comment section below. Now, let's dive into today's podcast. David, thank you so much for your time today, and we're really excited to have you on the call. You've had an amazing career as an orthopedic surgeon. What motivated you to shift away from the operating room into a scalable, tech-driven solutions?
Thanks, Charlie. Miles, it's great to be here, and I totally appreciate your time, and hoping I can share a few things to help give you guys some insight, as well as promote the entrepreneurial journey for those doctors who are looking to change their ways, supplement their impact on people. I was blessed to be an orthopedic surgeon for a good 16 years. I did a ton of surgery. I enjoyed using my hands, helping people overcome pain, inflammation through what's called arthroscopic surgery. Arthroscopic is small incision camera and instruments in the joint. It involves a lot of hand usage, which means that I was grabbing and holding tools and camera heads and graspers, biters, suture throwing devices for the whole day. Basically, during surgery, I must have performed around 400 surgeries a year for 12 or 15 years. Trouble is, I didn't have perfect hands. I had an old injury, a whole ski injury, probably 25 years ago, and I had surgery, and that joint, which is the coming together of two bones, became arthritic and painful over time. So grabbing these devices and instruments became a little too painful. In addition, I'm cursed and/or just happened to be of genetic background, having some tremors in my hands. They're called essential familial tremors. So for a sports medicine surgeon like myself, putting the screws in where you're supposed to, being really precise in what you're doing inside the joint is, I think, important for patient outcomes, and getting the restoration of anatomy the best possible. So with this little tremors, and the camera shows up on a monitor, and it increases by about 15% the actual size of anything. So a small tremor magnified 15% looks like a bigger tremor. And putting the screws where I wanted to, and even tying sutures through soft tissue was becoming more challenging. So I basically decided to put down my scalpel because I wasn't giving my best to my patients. And then I had to redefine myself as a person, as a surgeon, as a doctor. So I embraced a hobby that I had been undertaking with a physical therapist, which was offering digital or remote rehabilitation strategies to help people optimize after surgery. Surgery is a great tool. It's a method, a treatment, but not necessarily a cure. So the rehabilitation, either before or after surgery, is almost as important as the surgery itself. So by focusing on the perioperative, let's say before and after surgery, through rehabilitation or physical therapy, I think was a good idea for me. It was part of my passion as far as overcoming the inflammation after surgery or injury. So I focused my energy on making this a bigger company and a digital or tech-based solution. In addition, I've had a couple of orthopedic surgeries. Other than my thumb, it was also my knee and my shoulder. And I understood the benefits of really good rehab. So really good rehab helped to get me to overcome my pain, stiffness, weakness after surgery. Even though the joints are not perfect, at least they're very functional these days, and I try to maintain that. So it was with all those things that happened that made me say, all right, let me try and push this hobby into the mainstream, using digital therapy to increase outcomes, maybe lower the cost of healthcare, and really to get people to overcome their pain and to enjoy their life as best as possible, despite surgery, despite joint injuries and stuff like that.
Brilliant. And what makes these scalable today in ways that they weren't before?
Well, I think we're a more global community and country and world these days. So, and the digital side of things, meaning there's no hardware involved, there's no tools you have to strap on, you don't have to use many things. It's all body weight. A lot of it's body weight. Um, it makes it very scalable because now that the software technology, people can get it on their phone or their laptop or their desktop or even onto their TV. So it makes it very scalable because it is a software-based solution. It's a SaaS product. It's software as a solution, and we work with businesses, which means we're not going direct to consumer. We're not a workout platform. So really not point of concern focused physical therapy necessarily, but we're more of a integration type of software to help you regain coordination in your fascia system. So, with in the way that we've set up our program, we offer businesses solutions to help their populations succeed.
It's
So
fascinating.
it's a proper enterprise-wide platform. So big corporations are bringing you on. It's increasing the healthcare
Yeah.
workforce.
So, we're working with some physical therapy facilities, some orthopedic surgeons, as well as businesses that have employees as a benefit to the employees and their families. And we're also in the next 6 months or so, we're in the process of raising some capital so we can go into the elder care space. That's assisted independent living facilities to offer these types of tools and resources to help the aging people age better, more gracefully, I'd like to say.
Hmm. The impact's huge there because especially, I know studies where they've looked at, is it thigh muscle mass in correlation to mortality rates, right? If you have stronger thighs from squatting and stuff, it actually correlates to living a longer life. And I think it's something that our generation is going to benefit massively from, the amount of research that has been done into this this space, the healthcare space, functional fitness. I know what you're doing is slightly different, but to be able to go and help people prolong their life through exercise is so powerful.
Yeah,
So underappreciated as well.
I totally agree, Miles, and I think it's a good point. Our point of view is focusing on the fascia system, and the fascia system is essentially a meshwork around all your organs, your skin, your joints, your bones, your muscles. And this fascia system is like a fluid filled mesh that kind of circles from the head to your toes to your fingers and everywhere inside. And I like to think of it as the intersection between the neurological system and the musculoskeletal system. So it's where your coordination comes from. It's where your posture and your balance is all kind of used and optimized. The main brain of the fascia system is in your lower back, so the lower few vertebrae around there. And so when that becomes out of sync or damaged or injured with prolonged sitting, prior accidents, obesity, then that fascia, the brain, is not functioning nicely to make the coordination happen. So when you're talking about thigh strength, the core, or like your core really runs really from the base of your neck to the bottom of your tailbone. That's the whole core. Keeping that strong and flexible is important, but your hip muscles and therefore your thigh muscles are a key component to like the stability of your lower extremities and maybe protecting your lower back from injury.
Gosh. It's amazing, isn't it? Because a lot of this stuff isn't out there and it's not out open to the public. And I guess they don't really know, say you've got back pain, you don't really know where it's coming from and it can be frustrating. My next question, David, was going to be, you're obviously in the US and we're in the UK. And you mentioned earlier that you're now looking at going global. Have you seen any differences in the way that the US perhaps handle this stuff, or compared to the UK?
Yeah, I think that the health systems are quite different. We are based on we're like an insurance based system when it comes to like the real mainstream health system, meaning people or patients, they have this stuff called insurance, and that pays for or covers a lot of the care. And so there's different types of insurance. This is a capitalistic society, and therefore there's different companies vying for people to get insurance so they can have coverage in their healthcare. And I think, when my limited knowledge of like the socialistic or the government based healthcare, it makes a lot of sense, but it takes away some of the, let's say, the profits for the health sector a little bit. But patients, and it's hard to see which patients do better, because here in America, there's a lot of competition. There's a lot of people developing tools and resources, but they're not always covered by insurance, and they want to be covered by insurance because that's where the mainstream of the income would come. And I think it's still a challenge, and it's still an unmet need, because ultimately the humans are the ones suffering and the ones that need the care. So who's got quicker access? Maybe here in the US, who's got better access? Meaning the the efficiency is probably in the US as well. But I think the people in the UK also get good care. It just takes longer to get there. So maybe in the UK, they're more on the, okay, maybe we can prevent the onset of some things to happen. Maybe we can do some proactive care, some like routine uh, maintenance type of activities, whether it's your blood pressure, whether it's your weight, whether it's your cholesterol, whether it's your brain function or your physical function. Here in the US, we're more reactive. I mean, we're not paying for prevention. We're not paying for maintenance too much. So that's a big shortcoming for the US, because a lot of people, I like to think of it as sick care instead of health care. You don't go and see the doctor until you're sick. It'd be nice if you can go and get a wellness type of check and
Mm.
do things upstream as opposed to downstream. Downstream is after you've been diagnosed with something, then you react and you start to like investigate it, try and treat it, try and care for it. And by that point, I don't know. It's an uphill climb for the human who's suffering with the condition. I don't know if they prevent things better, or if they offer that type of preventive scenario in the UK.
David, on that, do you think the benefits of preventative need to be more widely promoted? Do you think more people need to know about how these little habits that you can take into your routine every single day can really have a massive impact in your life and a compound effect for preventing these much larger health scares down the road?
No doubt, no doubt. I think that's like a very important concept that has to be embraced by the bigger players here in the United States. And I liken it to, educating the human being about their bodies from a young age will help
Mm.
set them up for success as time goes on. They might have some genetic predisposition to high blood pressure or dementia or cancer or something like that, or arthritis. But there are ways to do it in a preventive fashion if you're educated, and then you can take action to make things, I guess, happen later on in life, or maybe even not happen at all. There are tons of stories who people who like in their 40s get diagnosed with this thing called type 2 diabetes, which means it's usually the insulin resistance type of thing, meaning that sugar's not getting pulled out of your body, maybe because you're taking it in too much or there's an imbalance. But then people go on, they change their lifestyle. They change their ways. They eat less, they eat better, they exercise more, maybe they get more hydrated, maybe they rest more, maybe they kind of like alleviate their stress in a different fashion, and they can lower their risk of having type 2 diabetes, and they can, don't need the medication that the United States likes to offer people. So certainly, if they had known about it earlier, they might have been able to think about the stuff they put in their bodies, the way they live their lives, and might have just lowered their incidence of type 2 diabetes, because that can lead to like things like heart attack or stroke
Mm.
or some bad stuff like cancer. And so it's a, I don't know, it's a slippery slope. I'm fully believe that educating the youth and the younger people and making it palatable so they understand it, they can take actions towards it, will help the health system kind of be healthier.
And on that, I think it dovetails nicely into the next section. It appealing to the youth. If we can find ways to gamify the process, perhaps using AI, that will make it more interesting for young people to get into it. Right?
Engaging, right? There may be more compliance towards things. I think games are something that I was taught back as a kid. Different games, because it really wasn't the computers yet, but now games are all over the place, and people are spend days and months and years when they combined time just like with friends on the internet doing games, like competing with each other, having fun, socializing. And I think at least for our company, we believe in the gamification process. We believe in like having to achieve different levels depending on if you successfully complete one level and you give us some feedback that you feel good about it, you can move on to the next level and you can get a certification at the end. But I like to always, I think that the motivation can be either extrinsic or intrinsic, right? And extrinsic is when you get a reward for finishing something. Intrinsic is that you do it because it makes you feel good on the inside, and maybe you can eat the food that you like more, or maybe you can have less chronic pain, or maybe you can look better in the mirror for your own good. That's an intrinsically motivating aspect to any game that you might play. I'm not talking like a video game that doesn't like make you healthier, but games, I think, and I think when it comes to corrective exercise, just the small changes, if you can get notified for your success in winning that game or succeeding at a level, it might increase your desire to continue it, especially if you feel better. Like if you are very stiff after you break a bone and you're like, if I just do my range of motion exercises and I know which ones to do and I do them technically correct and I do them on a routine basis and I build a habit out of it, let's say, then I feel good on the inside. I can go back to writing. I can go back to doing push-ups. I can go back to playing with my friends and my family or taking care of my parents or doing the things they like gardening or cooking or something. So intrinsically, they're like, oh, I want to do this. I want to feel better. And so I think that at least we strive to like create intrinsic motivation about doing the things that make you feel physically better. So yes, gamification is something that we're wrapping our heads around as a tool or as a facet of our success.
Can't wait to see how you implement it. I'm just thinking, as you were saying, other historically harder things to gamify, but we've got things like Duolingo now gamifying the language learning process, and everyone's got Duolingo now and everyone loves it and they actually do see it as a game, but they're learning. And if we can do that to other aspects of health and wellness and learning and knowledge capital, then it's actually going to increase just the general density of the population, which is awesome.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm really excited about the AI component, meaning if the human can give some feedback or give in some data into the system, can the system create the best quote unquote programs for this specific person, at least a foundational program? I think starting at the foundation is really important, because let's say you're very healthy anyway, but you have a few things you lack in your ability to sit at a computer all day, or maybe your job involves standing all day. Starting at the foundation and successfully completing that first level is something that can be very easy. So the AI can help kind of like put you in the right spot at the right time as the starting point. It can also give you the right feedback and maybe alter your program a little bit. So I think that's an exciting topic that is just kind of being born and kind of being blooming at around this time, or will continue to like grow as far as its success in the efficiency of getting you, the human, to get the right program in front of you.
That's something I absolutely love to be able to access, for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. Because your issue might be different than mine. I might have like a shoulder thing. You might have like a slight neck thing. And so understanding which person needs what is, I think, a solution that's worthy.
So, David, I mean, from the sounds of things, you've got multiple business ventures. You're obviously an extremely talented surgeon. What have you learnt about, I guess, delegating and leadership as an entrepreneur?
Yeah, it's a good question, Charlie. Thank you. I had my head to the grindstone for like 15 years when I was doing a lot of surgery. I was running my own practice. I was always in private practice. I had about 18 people working for me at one point. And so I was kind of running my own business, which was not entrepreneurial, but more just like a businessman. And now when I don't spend as much time in the operating room and I don't do the administrative tasks of like taking care of the scheduling and the booking of things and getting people into the office, I get to focus more on like the more fun technology based uh, ideas and processes and tools and resources or products. What I realized, the biggest thing I realized is you can't do everything. And so having the right team around you really helps success. And you need to have a little capital, because if you have a great idea and you find a strategic partner that believes in you and your idea and can financially go halvesy with you, or at least fit some of the bill, it allows you to explore these great ideas and really kind of alpha test them, develop them, prototype them, beta test them, and get them into the world. So I'm grateful for the team that I'm building around PopDoc, and even with some other businesses that I'm working on, where I think getting the right team is so important, getting the right people on the bus. I guess I like to say, this bus is traveling somewhere. It's never a clear path, but you like to think that it's going up. But having the right people on the bus is important. The right people to do the right job to help complement what you do, and make the whole process a winning process.
Yeah, and it's such a transferable skill, right? So you went from a clinical background to all the business ventures you've got now, and having that skill in leadership, whatever you're doing, is crucial, isn't it?
It helps, having good organization, being really motivated, diligent, having some good, work ethic. I think really matters a lot. I like to think of myself as a pretty positive person, which means I like to bring people up. I like to work on my strengths, find people's weaknesses because everybody has them, and then work on them as well. But really kind of work the Gallup polls, and I've worked with the company for some leadership courses I've taken where they would like to work on the strengths. So like if I have like 5 or 6 strengths that I think that from you know the work I've done with these people, they say, all right, these are your strengths. Let's work on those and promote those because they're easier. Everyone's got weaknesses. I'm certainly working on many because no one's perfect. But if you bring the right strengths together and they complement each other, I think you're more likely to succeed.
David, you touched briefly on some ideas for the future. We talked about gamifying the experience with it. But what does success really look like for you over the next 3 to 5 years? Is it market share? Is it patient impact? We spoke about going global briefly, but what does that really look like to you?
Yes, as a physician, I really went into this field to help people. So I think what can look best for me is like the populations that we serve, my company serves. I want them to be healthier. I want them to be happier. I want them to be more active. That to me, trumps, getting some more money in the bank for real.
Mm.
Because it's like if I can do both, it's helpful. But can I bring value to the human and to the individual about, taking small steps to change their lifestyle a little bit? Because it's not just about physical health. It's all kind of like lumped into social health, emotional health, dietary, nutritional health, those kind of things, limiting vices. If those kind of influences I can impart on people to help them, be happier, which is a relative term because happiness is different for people, but really just living with more purpose and having less pain, physical pain, because the opioid crisis and chronic pain is a real downer.
Mm.
So can we overcome that without opioids? And that's all my companies, of which I'm associated with, and I don't own them all for sure, but associated with, they're all in the health and wellness space. They're all aiming to like lower people's chronic pain. So I think that's my impetus. Can we help people wake up in the morning and feel minimal pain, maybe stretch a little bit, warm their bodies up, and then be able to do whatever makes them happy and fulfilled.
sort of really altruistic goal. And going a bit deeper, hypothetically, if you had a magic wand and you could fix one thing in the business right now, obviously that's holding you back or slowing you down from achieving that goal in the next 3 to 5 years, what do you think it would be?
I'm gonna have to go with that superficial answer of capital. So having great ideas is one thing, having a little capital is good, having some traction is decent, but having enough gunpowder or having enough stuff in the bank that you can execute your plans with, which means having a trusted financial source.
Mm-hmm.
That might be a strategic partner as well. That would be the win. Is someone who's already has a desire for the software that we're bringing to market and wants to use it, but also has some capital to help kind of like put some skin in the game and like be a real partner in the next 3 to 5 years. I mean, that's to me an optimal goal for sure.
So, David, what about?
Go on, Charlie.
Go on, Mark, sorry.
See, I got you guys talking out of turn now. That was good.
Charlie, you go.
I was going to go just one step further. Say I gave you the capital, or say you had a strategic partner who gave you the capital. Then what would you do? What would your next step be there? I mean, you mentioned earlier the maybe breaking into the elderly care. How would you do that? How would you what would your strategy be with that?
Yeah, I would take a deep breath and have a big sigh of relief, and then we would execute the plans that we've already laid out. So the plans, my science team is really great, very versatile. It's whether it's athletic trainer, strength and conditioning coach, physical therapist, orthopedic surgeon. We come together at a table and we design and create the right exercises for the right people. And then we have a great software team that help kind of like develop these short and powerful videos or GIF animations or explanatory tools to then approach those elder care aging communities as a tool and resource for their members. But in addition, a similar exercise program is going to go for the employees who have self-insured employers. And if these self-insured employers also care for their employees and their families, because families, that means that their parents or their siblings, exercise is kind of universal. And most people, when you hit 40, have had some aches and pains in their lives, and they might have like a fascia system that's a little bit not, let's say, congruent, or they're like they're not as coordinated in their fascia system. If you've ever had surgery, you cut through the skin, you cut through the fascia to get to wherever, whether it's an appendectomy, whether it's tumor surgery, or whether it's joint surgery. So all those surgeries are going to like make your fascia system in that area a little bit clogged up, a little less fluid. So by using the right tools and focusing on the full kinetic chain, you can overcome that and reintegrate the fascia into your system. So whether you're a young kid who's just had his ACL reconstructed and he wants to get back on the playing field, or you're a middle-aged weekend warrior kind of guy who wants to overcome his shoulder stiffness in the morning, or you're an aging person who might need a knee replacement but doesn't yet, but also can't exercise. So that's really, where we want to be. So our strategic partner with a little capital will help us kind of execute the plans that we have in our head and on paper already.
Amazing. Sounds bulletproof. Well, David, thank you. I mean,
it's about finding the right people, and so we work hard and we're diligent at trying to get the job done. Some of the other companies I work with are also in the health and wellness space, but some of them need some capital as well. So, inflammation is a silent killer in the body, and so we're putting out a nutraceutical that's going to be a bodily inflammation modifier. It's going to positively lower your inflammatory index. We're also creating an AI-based tool to help measure your inflammation in your body. That's going to be an at-home device. So that's going to be an awesome AI-based tool that will allow you to track your inflammation and the index of your inflammation in your body, because it clogs up your kidneys, it clogs up your lungs, it clogs up your brain, it clogs up your joints. Low-grade inflammation is a killer. So we're working to like lower that on a natural remedy, through a natural remedy.
Sounds amazing.
It's fun. It's been a lot of fun to like think about this, and like my business partners in that realm They're of Indian descent, and we're using Ayurvedic type of compounds to help kind of bolster our product. So that's going to be a really fun thing. It hasn't even launched yet, but it's launching, I hope by Thanksgiving, which is November here in the U.S. Just kidding. I'm sure you know that. Yeah, so we're really jazzed up about that. It should be a lot of fun.
I want to give it a go. Because I feel like, not to get too far off topic, but like wearable fitness products like Whoop, that's kind of the direction they'd like to go, like measuring inflammation, and that kind of stuff. And the more that we can measure, the more that we can remedy through natural causes. Right? It's like when you see the
I go deep into some of these, down some rabbit holes, and some of these new technologies that are out there. And the really one concern I have with all wearable stuff, and it's just my opinion, but hearing people like Dr. Jack Cruz and a few other people is EMF, is the electromagnetic frequencies, and what kind of impact it has on our brains and our bodies and our cognition over time. So all those Fitbits, smartwatches, glucose monitors, other things, they do put out some EMF. Even those how about that? Even those headphones you're wearing, right, being wireless, there's a frequency running through from your phone or your computer to your headphones that are certainly getting into your brain and your body. And so there's really, I don't think there's just enough research out there about the quantity of negativity it's throwing at your body. So so our at-home testing device is more like you stick your finger and you grab a little drop of blood and you put it on something, and that will help monitor and measure your blood markers for inflammation. So you do it every 3 months or so, with alternating your diet and maybe taking our supplements and just being more hydrated, get better sleep, dealing with your stress better, staying in physical shape, all those things. It's like it's part and parcel. It's like it's not just one thing. There's no one magic bullet that's going to make it all happen. It's like a lifestyle choice, and it's like doing a lot of little things in order to like win, get better, stronger.
If you control loads of variables and change one thing, and you can measure the impact it's having on the inflammation, then you can see if that's good or bad for helps you optimize basically your lifestyle, right?
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes it's subjective, meaning you just might feel more energy, you might sleep better, you might just have better emotional mood. But it can also be measured, meaning it might be objective as well if you can measure it through blood tests or through, let's say body weight biometrics type of things. That can be objectively measured. Or your strength, like how hard you can grip, how much strength you can grip something, or how much you can squat with one leg, let's say. That's an objective measurement tool. So there are some ways to measure and monitor how you're doing as a human when it comes to your personal health. And some of it can be wearable devices, but they don't have to be. There's other ways to achieve that goal.
Do you see wearable devices getting better, or do you think there'll always be a limiting factor?
It's a good question, Charlie. I'm not a proponent of wearable devices, meaning I don't really wear many, at least not ones that put out EMF. I wear this interesting bracelet that's embedded with a frequency, a magnetic frequency that's similar to the Earth. And so I try to align myself with the Earth, and it helps a lot with balance, actually. So it's a pretty cool device that I met the guy who made it, and then I did a couple testing things with him, and I was like, wow, that thing really makes a difference. But it's not something you have to plug in. It doesn't give off EMF. It's just a low grade frequency.
And you can actually feel the difference having it on.
Yeah, it's cool. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
Gosh, what's that
called? In your head.
I want to try that. That sounds
What's
really
the technology called?
That's for another time. We can talk about that, about what it's called. We can talk offline about that, because I don't know the current status of the company, but I know that I like to use it. It's got a couple gems and crystals in it in the deep side that helps with inflammation, helps with energy, helps with balance. But it's really not a Western medicine thing. It's more of an Eastern medicine thing, right? It falls outside the realm of traditional medicine, let's say.
Of course.
But it's it is it's an interesting tool, but it's not really a wearable like the typical wearables where you have to plug them in and then put them on, or even like the Aura Ring and there's a bunch of them, right? But I always like to tell people who want to start using them, hey, I would do some research to see how much EMF it puts out, and you know that kind of thing, and just there's a ton of research about it. These days with research, it's hard to know what's really true and what's made up and who's doing it for financial gain or who's a fraud. So you got to really dive deep into your research before you start eating things, putting on nail polish, coloring your hair. Some of those compounds have been shown to really just be bad for you. And same with some EMF stuff. Same with, if you look, Jack Cruz is I never met him, but I heard him on a podcast for a few hours, and I think he's a pretty smart guy, and he has a lot of negative things to say about EMF, and there's others too out there who just say, hey, watch that stuff that you're just putting on because someone says, oh, it comes free with something you buy. Oh, I'll just start using it. I don't know. It's the same thing with food. The food lobby back in the day was not great, and they were putting out really bad food that's bad for you, but they didn't care that much. And now they're finally becoming more transparent a little bit, changing their ways a little bit. Because diet is probably the top three things to like negatively impact your health if you don't really be mindful about it.
Would you say sleep, diet, exercise?
Yeah, I mean, so when I talk about diet and nutrition, I mean there's stuff that you put in your body, drink and that kind of stuff. But yeah, so activity and staying, technically good activity to keep you strong, flexible, and balanced, and then hydration, and then rest or sleep. Those are to me very important. But the diet and nutrition also go hand in hand. The gas for your car is different than the oil for your car. So I've been kind of toying with that analogy for a little while. So the food you put in your body or the drinks you take in, that is the gas for your car, but the hydration, the water, is actually the oil. So that keeps all your organs lubricated nicely so they don't clog up. So by combining those two things, you can certainly impact your body.
It's a great analogy, isn't it? I like the Ferrari one. If you had a Ferrari, the brand new Ferrari, would you go and make your own gas to go and put in it? No, you go and buy the premium stuff, wouldn't you, to make sure it's goes as fast as possible and stays in the best condition possible. So why is it not the same for your body?
Yeah, it's funny because during my time with that doctor from Australia, Warwick Bishop, he had the analogy of the car too, meaning like you're the driver of the car, but the car around you has to work really well. And so you're responsible for the way you drive your car. But then there are other tools around it to keep it maintained, to give it the oil, to give it the gas, to give it the washer fluid, to give it the lubrication for the engine. All those things are just part of letting it rest, not overusing it, changing the tires if they become like bald. So it was a good analogy he used. Mine's a little different because I'm just like throwing out oil versus gas and how they are both needed to keep the car running. But you are not the driver, and you are the driver of the car, but you are the car for me.
Brilliant. David, I'm aware of time, and I don't want to keep you all day. So what we normally do with our guests at the end is just ask for one bit of advice. If there's any healthcare professionals out there thinking of launching into something new, what would your advice be to them?
Well, the advice for the healthcare professional would be, don't go at it alone. Find a few people who have the same kind of mindset, who really like your idea and are willing to like put sweat equity into it, meaning put the work in to get it into a nice state before you just jump off the practice wagon. And if you can balance both for a little while before you take the jump, I think it would be very helpful for you.
Brilliant. And what about a new entrepreneur who's just starting up?
Yeah, so a similar realm. There's a saying that if you have a really good idea at any one time, someone else in the world is having that same idea. So it's about, do you execute it and take it down that road to fruition better, faster, or more efficiently or effectively. And so for entrepreneurs, working with a team that helps, and really knowing that you have a niche product that's going to fit in the marketplace. And I, as an entrepreneur, for me, I'm like a health and wellness entrepreneur, meaning I'm not going to make the new fluffy toy. I'm not going to make a new shirt or new standard shirt. I mean, if it's a shirt that kind of like, I don't know, helps you feel happier, maybe. But I'm saying when you choose what you want to develop and bring into the world, I hope it's something that's environmentally conscious, not made with bad stuff, done with integrity, and also helps humanity and society rather than something that's like another, tool that's not necessarily going to help somebody. A lot of mascaras, a lot of like skin products, a lot of, makeup and stuff, a lot of fashion stuff. Maybe they're made with excess plastic. Maybe they got heavy metals in them. Maybe they're trying to cut corners to make it like look good or stay on better. Is that really better for the human population? I don't know. That to me, I'm very suspect of some of those things. And now studies are coming out like, oh, gel manicures have this in it. Food stuff has some dyes in it. Their hair to hair coloring stuff gives people fibroids. There's a lot of stuff out there about that. So if you're going to develop something that you want to bring, hopefully it's good for the environment and good for humanity.
Agreed.
And that's
like I'm
great.
not going to go out and develop a new candy bar, me personally. That's not where I'm going.
Good.
I think that's
David.
great. Yeah. It's been an absolute pleasure spending this time with you today. I'm sure the listeners found it as fascinating as we have.
I hope so. And then I really want to make myself available to your listeners through my email or my website. Yeah, life is long, and I want to be an advocate for those people around that want to do better for themselves.
If you want to get in contact with David and check out PopDoc and his other ventures, we'll leave all of the information below. But for now, that's all we've got time for, so we'll leave it there. Thanks, guys.
Awesome.
Cheers, guys.